Okay, so moving on to our journey for developing the animation. I think Clive and Sam would both acknowledge that this has perhaps been a longer journey than we first anticipated, and no surprises through COVID, but also in part because of the co-production journey that we went on. So we first met with Mimu in August 2019, so a good year ago. Where we met together to give an introduction of the Thrive framework and the brief of the animation. And Miranda Walcott joined us with that to ensure that it was aligned with the Thrive framework. And we then progressed with the Thrive author group to develop a script to explain the framework. And that was quite a challenge because inevitably with funding restrictions, we had a limited capacity for the duration of the animation. Obviously, the longer it is, the more resource it takes. And so the real challenge was to try and ensure that we got the sense of the key principles of the Thrive framework across in a 2-minute time frame, which, as anybody who's on this call knows, in terms of trying to negotiate the service transformation and getting people on board with the idea of the Thrive framework can be quite a tall order. And so to try and distill the essential aspects down into a 2-minute animation did take quite a lot of work, which went on over those months leading up to the end of 2019. But then with the script being developed, we at the start made a very overt decision that we wanted to ensure that the animation was a genuine co-production with children, young people and their parents and carers. And so from the initial script being developed, we ran a first co-production workshop in January of this year that both Carl and Sam were able to join, and the focus on that was to really start to think about, with the children and young people, about how to bring the animation characters and storyline to life through the animation. And we had young people from the Tavistock and Portman and also young champions from the Anna Freud Centre to work with us to really give their view on what would be the crucial way of bringing the Thrive framework to life through the animation. So that led to a bit of an iterative process around script refinement, which went on over the next couple of months from February to April. And of course, that was at the point that we had the worldwide impact of COVID to then manage. So what was really fantastic was the experience of delivering our co-production sessions with young people through Zoom, and that it really, I have to say, was a brilliant experience for us, because it was inevitably quite daunting and wondering how on earth we would actually able to ensure genuine co-production through a different medium. And actually it worked really, really well. The young people found a much more flexible approach, and it enabled them to really engage with the co-production journey in a way that actually maybe made it slightly easier for them, particularly with school and college commitments. And so that was a real learning experience for us on this journey. And it led to there being some delays. Inevitably, our entire team were redeployed through the first wave of COVID. So in terms of being able to stay focused on the development of an animation, we had inevitably a huge number of challenges, which I'm sure created lots of frustration from Mimu particularly, but actually they bore with us and were really understanding and fantastic in keeping us nudging the project forward. So we were able to share the first draft of the animation with our young children and young people and their parents in the early summer, in May and June. And there was ongoing refinement and feedback from the young people through that the summer period. And then we got to the stage of making a decision around the voiceover for the animation. And it was really important to us, again, that the children and young people who had been working with us took an active role in making a decision about the choice of the voice for the animation. And so that was a collaboration between the programme team and the young people select that voiceover, and which happened in the summer, and then has led to further refinement taking place over the past couple of months, ready for our launch today, which we're very excited about, and obviously it feels a little bit flatter doing a launch of such a massive piece of work that feels so important and crucial through Zoom. But I'm hoping that the fact needing to deliver the launch in this way doesn't detract from how fantastic we feel that this piece of work has been, and genuinely brings the young people's stories to life from those participation events. So on to the next slide. This was a summary of the co-development process. So obviously Mamu were the key in supporting us through our new journey of this development of the animation, and they absolutely retained the whole oversight, and you know, they're going to talk in a few minutes about their journey. So I will leave that to them. They're the experts in that domain. Our task was to really try and bring together the Thrive Framework author group and enable them to create a script that would be meaningful within this 2-minute animation and the restrictions associated with that. So that was quite a challenge in terms of enabling the author group to come together and create something that actually meant that all members of the author group felt happy with, that conveyed that the complexity of the challenges of delivering a whole system offer to support children and young people's mental health and well-being, and also that enabled the young people and the parent participation groups to really understand the framework to enable them to contribute in a meaningful way to the character and storyline development and contribute to that script refinement. So it was a genuine iterative process between all of these groups, and our task as the National iThrive programme team was to really bring these different strands together and ensure that there was a sense of coherence and progression through the journey of the development of the animation. Kerry? So we had a number of co-production workshops, and I think the first co-production workshop that both Sam and Carl were able to be at was really energizing. We were able to do this face to face. This was pre-COVID in January, I hasten to add, just to ensure that any health and safety monitoring was in a different sphere at that point in time. And through this experience, it was just so amazingly powerful about the ideas that came through from the young champions and the ex-service users around their experience of mental health and wellbeing services, and their understanding of the importance of thinking about the offer of mental health and wellbeing services within a needs-based offer. And they did a brilliant job of giving some very concrete examples and of what would convey the subtleties of the Thrive framework to them, that had greater meaning for young people, and also ways in which their experiences could really enhance the character development to bring a greater young person's perspective to the development of the animation. So it was a really, really powerful workshop with significant learning for everybody who was involved in that. I think it was, yeah, I'm sure everyone would agree with that. And some of the feedback from that session from the young people, it's up on the slide for you to have a read of, but the range of comments from the young people. So on seeing the first draft of the animation really enabled us to take their ideas forward again in a much more meaningful way. So there were some quite concrete elements of feedback, so really like the colour coordination, through to you know, some of the subtleties that they were able to pick up. So on the initial viewing, a lot of the problems seemed quite similar, and there was a concern that maybe the animation suggested that difficulties related to school or home life, so wanted a greater diversity of difficulties reflected within it. Comment at the bottom there, they really like the use of a friend when talking about trust and how they can show you how to receive the best help, and that's something that very much came through in that initial workshop, that actually the children and young people that were in that workshop really wanted to get the message across that actually if you have mental health and wellbeing difficulties. Yes, yeah, there is a professional system out there to support you, but what they really wanted to convey as well, that actually in your immediate sphere of influence, the power of friends and peer groups, and also often extended family members, not necessarily, it might not be parents or carers, immediate parents or carers or siblings, but actually in the broader family. That was something that the young people really wanted to convey about the range of help and support offer that's available in most children and young people networks. So there were then some particular feedbacks around the style of the animation, and their thoughts on music and so on, which was really key. And there's an additional longer comment there about how having different labels would be important to really convey the different types of help and support options that are available, that you'll hopefully notice in the animation once we show it. Okay, so that's feedback from the children and young people. And obviously at the core, this is our bread and butter, thinking about how we align both the work that we provide to sites across the country, but in terms of bringing the principles of the Thrive framework to life, but really thinking at all stages in the production journey, really about how the animation was aligning with the key principles. So in the development of the animation, we obviously wanted to convey the importance of having that common language and ensuring that there was a very overt reference to the needs-based groupings, and aligning the different elements of help and support to the colour-coded needs-based groupings, ensuring that there was then explicit needs-led reference to the context, focusing on different ages and experiences, and ensuring that shared decision making was really brought to life through the overt collaboration with professionals and with family members. Actually, we should add that in, whilst also ensuring that our co-production of the animation journey itself absolutely followed that principle. We really wanted to emphasise the importance of proactive prevention and promotion, and the role of thriving is at the core of the animation, really emphasising the importance and the value of whole communities working together to build on their strengths, and illustrating the genuine collaboration and partnership working through the range of cross-sector work that takes place in supporting mental health and well-being, but also, as I've already mentioned, not just solely focusing on the professional help and support offer. We wanted to bring in the importance of outcomes-informed interventions, and do have a statement within it about the value of evidence-based interventions, whilst also considering a full range of options according to the young person's needs, and ensuring that the animation in part contributes to the reduction of the stigma around mental health and difficulties particularly, but also how it normalised the experiences across the lifespan of the normal ups and downs of life, and really focuses on ensuring that we ensure a comprehensive prevention and promotion range of offer to really genuinely support thriving, to reduce the need across the population of children and young people. And of course, also really emphasising the importance of having accessible services, both in terms of the help and support being provided in a timely way in those settings that a child, young person or family would ordinarily access. So thinking about being in school or education settings, but also where young people might have specialist areas of interest. So thinking about the value of faith leaders, and also sports coaches, to show that more holistic range of help and support options available. And it was really key to us to also ensure that the characters within the animation were absolutely represented the diversity of the population, and to really work very hard at trying to make sure that that was explicit throughout the animation. Okay. So we've had some really fantastic feedback from the participation group, who described really feeling that they felt that their opinions and thoughts were heard, and that they really valued the experience of being involved from the really initial concept stages right the way through to seeing the animation coming to fruition. And some of the other comments around it being important to capture the relevant experiences of children, young people, and having that rounded view rather than having a very narrow perspective. And then I'm going to hand over at this point to Carl and Sam to share their experiences of working with us in the co-production. This is some of the comments from their team around their experience of the co-production, but I think they can probably articulate it better than I can. So over to you, Sam and Carl.
Hi everyone. I think Carl and I were initially very excited by the brief to create an animation around mental health, because it's such a a relevant subject for all, but especially having to deal with something for kids, because we've both got children. Carl's just had Carl and I both had new children, so yeah, we were passionate about getting involved. And I think, like you said, Rachel, the biggest challenge initially was to try and come up with something that captured what the iThrive framework is, that had to sit in a 2-minute video. And the script writing process began with that, didn't it, Carl? Sort of having to those early brainstorming meetings where, Rachel, you came in, and Bethan, and I think even Amanda, and yeah, just kind of boiling it down. So I think we went through quite a few iterations of the script, didn't we?
Yes. And I think listening to Rachel go through everything before this, sitting back, you really realize the breadth of everything that had to be met. And it's really no wonder we're seeing this a year later, because when you see it on paper, we had to fulfill so much had to be fulfilled by this animation, and we had to present such a wide range of people. And that's what has made it a challenge, but at the same time, seeing the finished thing, really proud and fulfilled to see it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point as well, Carl. I think with a long project like this, you go through phases of excitement, and you go through then you also have, with the ups, you have difficult phases, and that's kind of relevant to every project, but then every project is unique in its own way. And I think often when you begin a project and you're very passionate about something, you want, obviously the people you're working with are passionate about what they're doing as well. You get that rush of excitement, and then there's challenges that kind of come in. And I think Rachel, you mentioned about the the diversity of the subject that had to be captured, and I think something that Carl and I kind of were quite keen to try and sort of explain was, with animation, like
Oh, we lost him.
Yeah, I think so.
But just to finish off where Sam was, we're so proud to see the final thing.
Sort of narrative backbone for this.
Oh.
This... Oh,
we lost you there, but
did you?
That's fine.
An internet problem.
Yeah. Perhaps if you just repeat what you were just saying in that last paragraph.
No, just the challenges of trying to create a bit of a narrative to pin this around, which brought in a balance of the right amount of diverse characters that kind of helped convey the Thrive framework. Yeah. And I think it's good that we got there in the end, didn't we?
Yeah.
I think yeah, I think it's, when you finish a film, if you're working if it's commercial advertising or a tutorial, it's going to get some use. But I think with this film, it's about spreading a message, and it's about the start of something that hopefully will get bigger and bigger and bigger and stronger and stronger. So it's that what really makes it a lot more precious than anything else we've created for some time, I think.
I think when we actually really began the script writing stage, kind of took about 3 months, really, didn't it? We went through a few cycles, and then I think it got to a kind of collaborative phase. When we actually began the production, we began storyboarding, didn't we? And I think that's again another exciting phase for Carl and I, to sort of when we began actually thinking about how this would work in pictures. But one of the big challenges, I guess, that everyone's had to deal with recently was COVID coming along, and then the kind of wondering about how, you know, hoping from our side that the project would still continue, because obviously we put kind of almost about 6 months worth of work into it by that point. And thankfully, Rachel, you kind of you know, you saw the use and how much had gone in. And I think with animation, and something we found is this is one of the types of work that actually can continue quite well in a COVID sort of scenario because of the way we work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that the biggest constraint was our time because of redeployment as a result of COVID. So, you know, we're very mindful that obviously you still had that capacity, but our capacity was significantly dwindled. But, you know, what was brilliant is that the young people also still had capacity, and were also able to nudge us and, you know, really help the project progress. And they made it very, very easy to keep going, despite everybody doing 1,000,001 different other things and firefighting in many different ways. But you know, it was in part that the commitment both from you guys and Mamu, but also the young people and their excitement and enthusiasm to keep giving you know, their time to the co-production and wanting to really make this you know, a fantastic piece of work that enabled us to, in those little snapshots of time, be able to progress it. So a huge thanks to you guys for keeping us relatively on track.
And can I just say that the workshop was a valuable price, is how you want to put it, because I think there's probably in every scene in this animation, there's something we took from that meeting.
Yeah.
Even if it's the girl with the dog on the bed, there's so many little bits which really helped us create something authentic.
I think that's it. If we hadn't have had the opportunity to do that, it would have been a different film, wouldn't it, Carl?
Yeah.
And I think that's another reason for when COVID came in, kind of thinking we'd done all of that and gotten so excited by meeting these young people to not kind of see it through and kind of, yeah, help actually implement their ideas would have been disappointing. So it's I think that's what's, like Carl said, now seeing where they've gone and how it's influenced bits of the film has been really good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I think that now is the time for the big reveal. So I'll hand over to Kerry, who's going to do the driving, and sit back and enjoy, and we look forward to your feedback.
Most children and young people thrive emotionally, even with the ups and downs of life, with the support of their parents and carers, their brothers, sisters and friends, and other important adults in their lives. We don't just want to wait until things go wrong to help them thrive. If everyone works together, we can take steps to encourage good emotional health. Some of these can be small things, and others, big things. But even if we all work to provide and promote good, active, emotional well-being, some children and young people develop additional emotional needs. There are times when it can be helpful for a trusted person to give useful advice about what might help, or give advice and signposting to know what the options are. Occasionally, young people don't want help, but the adults around them, or their siblings or friends, are worried. And when this happens, all the people need to work together to keep children and young people safe. And if we can help them keep safe and build trust, it might also be useful for some to get more help. For some children and young people, we know lots of help will be needed from across the community, and that others will need less. There are many things that are known to be effective in helping us feel okay, so that we can cope better with the ups and downs. Getting the support needed starts with someone noticing and listening, being interested in others. If we work together, these conversations are the first steps in understanding a child or young person's emotional needs, and to think with them about choosing the right advice, help, or support to meet their needs. Sometimes talking and really trying hard to see things from their point of view might even be enough on its own to help someone get back to thriving. So let's work together to ensure that children, young people, and their families' emotional health and well-being is everyone's business, and help them to thrive.
Okay, so there we go. That's the big reveal of the launch of the animation. We hope you like it. I mean, we'll come on and hear some feedback from you, but please do put any feedback or comments, questions in the chat that we can pick up in a couple of minutes. So just to let you know, we have developed a implementation story. Of course we would, we're bound to. That's what we do. We create implementation stories to help others learn from the different experience and think about how you might be able to use some of the ideas that we've used in creating this animation for pieces of work in your local areas across the country. So do have a look at that implementation story, and there's a link on the slides that you'll get sent afterwards. Moving on, we absolutely want to give our thanks to both the Anna Freud Centre and the Tavistock and Portman, who've contributed significantly in terms of funding for this, and also our partners within the iThrive partnership, so UCL Partners and the Dartmouth Institute, as well as some additional funding from UCL itself. And particularly we really want to thank our the young champions from the Anna Freud Centre, and also the young people from the Tavistock and Portman, who really supported the genuine co-production of this animation. We are absolutely indebted to them for their contributions to this piece of work. So just want to reiterate our thanks for that. Okay, so any questions or reflections we can pick up now? I don't know if it's, how do we see that? Yes, in the chat. Thank you. So comments. So Nikki, great video, really like it. It's great to hear. Where will this be showcased, and will it be across media platforms? Bethan, you're nodding. Looks like you know how best to answer that one.
Yeah, just thinking about the sound.
You're not
in the same room. Yeah, so we shared on the National iThrive Programme website as well, and we want to share it on the, we've got a LinkedIn and we've got a YouTube channel as well, so you'll be able to access the information, the link to the animation there.
Okay. So Annie, as a family therapist, I like the multiple systems involved around the young person. Yeah, great. So that came across to you in the animation. That's fantastic. Any other thoughts or comments or feedback that people would like to give, please do. Angela, love the co-production. Great to share with children and young people. Thank you very much. Yes. And to the GM team also for some thoughts along the way in this, the production of this as well. Will it be on the NHS website? That's a very good question. Kerry, could you look into that? Kerry's our programme manager, so I think that would be a very, very positive thing if we can do that.
Great place to share it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so actually ideas for sharing, do put them where it might helpfully be shared, because we've got representatives on this webinar from across the system. So if you have any particular thoughts in the different sectors that would be useful, then please do let us know, and we can, even if you have thoughts beyond today. TV channels, Emma, Carl and Sam, that's maybe your arena to get it out there.
I think actually now though, really the internet is the most relevant place to be sharing something like this. So, you know, you're going to be able to spread it far and wide. And I think it's good to hear the NHS website would be brilliant for it to be on there.
Yeah, absolutely. So Emma, are we able to share the link once it's up? As I feel it's a really good animation, really support our work. Absolutely. So yeah, brilliant for you guys in Hull and East Riding. Absolutely, with your implementation journey. Yeah, it will be. There will be a link, I believe. Bethan, yes, I'm nodding. She's in the same room, but we're obviously both on different devices. Yes.
Sorry, actually, there might be opportunity to send this to festivals, which could also get it some a good way to share the message. Animation festivals.
Okay, great. Well, maybe we'll link up with you about that after this. Fantastic. So, Angela, excited about sharing across Greater Manchester. Brilliant. Like the video, wonder how others are managing to get other agencies to see it as a framework they can own. Still seems to be an NHS offer. Oh, interesting. So that came through to you in the animation, that it felt more health related. Okay, well, so we will think about that then, and as a program team to and link with our partners across the sectors to really find ways to ensure that it's more, feels like it's a more cross-sector offer. Thank you for that feedback. Nikki, for us moving to a wellbeing focused approach to help, this is an invaluable tool. Great. And Naomi, as a young people's health and wellbeing worker, I think this is really positive. Giving a message to parents who may feel skeptical about seeking help for their children. Yes, I mean that's really, really great to hear. Our primary audience was to try and engage the cross-sector professionals across the children's landscape, but also obviously wanting it to be a resource that could be used for children and young people and their parents and carers. Any subtitles or voiceover in other languages? Now that's an interesting point. So there is the text for it, which we are going to look into getting the text translated into other languages. I guess the idea of a voiceover in other languages, it potentially wouldn't be that much of a huge cost just to do different voiceovers. So that might be something that we could look into getting some additional resourcing for, to enable us to do. Sam?
Yeah, that's something that could be done. We do that with other animations. There are some things, depending on the language, you sometimes have, you know, it takes longer to say some words in other languages, but I think as nothing is particularly like lip synced in the animation.
Great. Okay. Fantastic. Well, that's something we can absolutely explore. I think we lost Sam again there. So Angela really fits alongside the recent animation produced by UK Trauma Counsellor Anna Freud. Fantastic, yeah. Could share at the GM community of practice and with localities leads, that'd be brilliant. Is there anything that says I Thrive isn't in all areas? What do you mean by that, Faith? If you can say a little bit more. Is there anything that says I Thrive isn't in all areas? So a lot of sites across the country are implementing the Thrive framework. I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that question, so do give a bit of clarity if you can in the chat. Oh, I thought the framework isn't adopted everywhere yet. No, it's absolutely not. So there are many sites across the country who are implementing the framework, but a number are not. And you know, it's growing, our community of practice. So there continue to be sites who've not been implementing as yet, who are moving towards implementation, as well as some. Obviously, there are many different models of service transformation. So certain sites across the country are not implementing Thrive, they're using other approaches. Christine likes the idea of going to festivals and other platforms that young people go to, sexual health clinics, other health and GP surgeries, or the Lewisham schools websites. Yeah, I mean, often waiting, well, obviously we're not in a COVID secure world, waiting rooms aren't where people are sitting around for even 2 minutes now, but that might be something that we could do to really promote it in using resources such as, you know, screens in waiting rooms. Brilliant, thank you. Could be a good resource to be shown in schools. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, fantastic. Thank you for those comments and feedback. And then there's a question, a Q&A post from Sandra. I really thought the video was powerful and thoughtful for young people. In regards to signposting for young people, there wasn't any mention of approaching counsellors in schools for emotional wellbeing support, of which there are many in-school counselling services. I think that we tried to convey that through the doors that the boys were reviewing in terms of advice and signposting. What was a real challenge was that we would have had many doors to show the whole range of help and support options. So apologies if that wasn't conveyed adequately in the animation, but I think, you know, Sam and Carl can probably comment on the work that we did put in to trying to make that reflective as a broader range of help and support options as we could. I don't know if you'd want to say any more, Sam and Carl, just about the restrictions of the animation development in relation to conveying everything.
Just that, you know, with every character, you have to put time into designing it, and with every character has to be animated, and it gets to the point where, you know, you can have too much information in something, and as soon as you start trying to get everything in, you start running over 2 minutes, you just create something that's too complicated for anyone to watch. So it's important for us, for what we did show, to show clearly and always know that there's something there which maybe get people to find out more information if they need it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Faith, just come back, does it need to mention iThrive isn't everywhere? The animation doesn't say that iThrive is everywhere, in the same way it doesn't say that it's not everywhere. You know, it's the animation has been created for those sites who are implementing Thrive, to use it as a mechanism to support their cross-sector workforce in understanding it. So yeah, we purposefully steered away from that because you know, sites may or may not be using it, or they may be at an early stage of thinking about it with their senior leadership team and so on. So thank you very much, Faith, for those questions there. And a question of, could we see the animation again before the end? So that might be a nice way to just draw this section to a close and re-show. But yes, so David raising that it's hard to not see it as a CAMS model. Okay, that's really helpful feedback. Thank you for that. So we will do some further work in thinking about how we support the cross-system partners in feeling that it more accurately reflects the integrated care offer of service and whole system transformation. Okay, thank you very much.
Shall we share again then?
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Most children and young people thrive emotionally, even with the ups and downs of life, with the support of their parents and carers, their brothers, sisters and friends, and other important adults in their lives. We don't just want to wait until things go wrong to help them thrive. If everyone works together, we can take steps to encourage good emotional health. Some of these can be small things, and others, big things. But even if we all work to provide and promote good, active, emotional well-being, some children and young people develop additional emotional needs. There are times when it can be helpful for a trusted person to give useful advice about what might help, or give advice and signposting to know what the options are. Occasionally, young people don't want help, but the adults around them, or their siblings or friends, are worried. And when this happens, all the people need to work together to keep children and young people safe. And if we can help them keep safe and build trust, it might also be useful for some to get more help. For some children and young people, we know lots of help will be needed from across the community, and that others will need less. There are many things that are known to be effective in helping us feel okay, so that we can cope better with the ups and downs. Getting the support needed starts with someone noticing and listening, being interested in others. If we work together, these conversations are the first steps in understanding a child or young person's emotional needs, and to think with them about choosing the right advice, help, or support to meet their needs. Sometimes talking and really trying hard to see things from their point of view might even be enough on its own to help someone get back to thriving. So let's work together to ensure that children, young people, and their families' emotional health and well-being is everyone's business, and help them to thrive.
Okay. Oh, speaking too soon. Fantastic. Thank you very much for showing that again, Kerry. So yeah, just those final couple of comments from Nikki. Works well to promote that every element of support can make a difference, and great that in re-seeing that you're able to pull that out. And David, yeah, thank you. Over to everybody across the system to get over a shared understanding across the localities, and ensuring that that whole system takes a equal responsibility, and to take the idea forward of offering a needs-based mental health and well-being offer. So and thanks, Emma, for your comment. Lovely. Okay, so fantastic to share that with you. You know, as you can no doubt tell from the that narrative around the journey, that it has been a journey. And thanks again to Sam and to Carl for sticking with us and really supporting us on that journey, because I know it's not been straightforward. So thanks again to you both, and for joining today to launch the animation.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. It's good to see it. Good to see it get launched.
Yeah,
and
brilliant.
just maybe also to mention, although you've just been to Carl and I, who directed and produced it, there was quite a team of animators working behind the scenes, and I think, you know, that's also was still able to go on quite well during COVID, which was good.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, please do pass on our thanks to your whole team as well.
We will do. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. Okay, well, I think Sam and Carl are probably going to say farewell now, but thanks again for being a part of this lunchtime launch.